Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Our Front Yard Garden here in the South Carolina upstate. This is episode 37 in 2024. It's October 19th, as you can see by our zinnias, which aren't looking too good at this point, but the garden is still blooming overall. We've got a lot of things to show off, and it is an absolutely perfect day. It's a Saturday morning. The sky couldn't be bluer. I think if there was such a thing as perfect weather, this is it. It's right around 68, 70 degrees. It's going to be a high of upper 70s today, and just lovely for late October. So let's get started here with our mailbox bed as always, and this lovely little late season gift is still blooming. These clematis, which normally are primarily seen in the spring, these Giacomini's, blooming quite a bit. I didn't think we would get this much. I don't remember getting this many flowers last year in the fall, but it's absolutely great because they've taken the place of the morning glories, which have largely finished up. Having said that, though, we do have one still blooming down here, and that is just about it, I think. So everything kind of goes through their own season, and sometimes you get two seasons. We're seeing that a lot with our azaleas in the backyard, which we'll see, actually even some here in the front yard. We're going to see those in a few minutes. Looking at the rest of this bed, a lot of things sort of tailing off as the days get shorter, and we came close to a freeze over the past week. I think it got down to around 35 degrees. I did see some frost on some rooftops. We didn't really see anything dying off, but when it gets that chilly, some of the plants start to shut down a little bit. And we're seeing that right now with the vinca, which are not, greenery-wise, they're doing fine, but not as many flowers as they did. Now, they still have some buds on them if you look really closely, but they are not blooming in large numbers like they were. Same thing with the zinnias. They certainly peaked about 2 months ago, but despite that, we're still getting some nice color here, enough to justify keeping them around for a little while longer. Although most of the flowers that we're seeing right now have been out for a few, I'd say maybe 2 weeks or so. Most of the newer ones that are coming out, like this one, this is just opening up right now, but it's a little smaller, little tiny one up here. We're not seeing the really big ones like this still opening up, but that's what you expect in October. And quite honestly, compared to when we lived in Ohio some years ago, this time of year, pretty much everything was done. We've already had the first frost, and leaves are all off the trees. Here we still have a lot of leaves, and we've got one tree that's mostly gone for the year, but a lot of greenery still, and we'll have that yet for another probably 3 weeks or so. It's usually well into November here in South Carolina before we lose our deciduous leaves. So coming up to our little triangle bed here, again, vinca doing reasonably well, not covered with flowers, but the plants themselves are doing fine. Our petite knockout rose still giving us some flowers. This thing has struggled a little bit over the year because of the heat that we had. It was a little hotter than usual. It's not thriving, but it's holding its own. More zinnias and vinca up here. Few dianthus still blooming. Remarkably, these have never really stopped. They have their peak in the spring, and then even after that, they continue to bloom for off and on for the rest of the year. Now here we have dinner plate dahlias. I said last week these were not dinner plate dahlias. They actually are. My wife corrected me. Now they got a little bit damaged. I don't know if it was from a lack of water or the cold weather, but they are not blossoming like they were. They're kind of struggling a little bit. Still colorful. They're not completely dead, but they're not on fire like they were last week. They were absolutely gorgeous, kind of peaking at that time. Still have a little bit of yellow from our black-eyed Susans back here, but they're well on the way to finishing up. We do have a couple of climbing roses here. This one has continued to give us at least a few blossoms all through the year. Never large numbers, but enough to make it worthwhile. And it lost most of its leaves through black spot, but it's coming back. We're seeing a lot of new leaves. Probably won't last for long because of the cold coming, but it's at least trying to keep itself going as long as possible. And then another nice little surprise here, this blood red rose of climber hanging probably about 3 feet out from the wall. These things grow long, but they've lost most of their leaves, and they're not particularly prolific. We get, one flower here and there. There's a yellow one in there as well that has not done all that well. But that's what you have. And then as we work our way over to our little artificial citrus grove behind the Halloween decorations, we've got our lemons. One here in particular that is currently in bloom. I'm going to move Mr. Ghost aside here and show off these flowers. Some of the sweetest fragrance that you'll ever encounter. Lemons and oranges, they're just heavenly. And unfortunately, the timing is an issue because these on this front plant, these were blooming about a month ago. Unfortunately not at the same time, so they couldn't get cross-pollinated. And even though we're seeing some little seed pods there that ideally would turn into lemons, I think they're all going to fall off because I doubt very seriously that they got cross-pollinated. We've got 2 other small lemon plants here, but neither one is putting out any flowers. And our orange, doing fine, but never has put out any flowers. This is the other lemon, our big one. Had this for about 4 years. It's actually still growing, still putting out new growth, and no flowers. I'm hoping next spring that we'll get a bunch of them all at the same time, and maybe they'll cross-pollinate and finally give us some actual fruit, which would be really nice after all the time and effort I've put into keeping them going. So this bed here is pretty much finished up. We're going to work our way up to the front here. We've got some azaleas. Probably peaked a week ago. There's still some buds coming out, but overall still a lot of nice color here. Same thing with this smaller azalea, which is more of a red color. This one's completely covered. This is almost has as many flowers as it did in the springtime. You don't usually see that in the fall, but this has been a really good fall for some reason in terms of blooms on these spring plants, like this bigger azalea with the purple. And this is what we have in the backyard. And actually, as I look closely, it looks like we still have quite a few buds here. So I think we're still going to get more flowers. That may depend a little bit on the weather. If we get a lot of get an early frost, that may kind of get in the way, but we'll see. Another red azalea, and then a couple different types of pink ones back here, a light pink one that again still has quite a few buds. So we still may get a decent amount of color out of this before all is said and done. We'll find out. Right now the forecast over the next 2 weeks, which takes us through the end of the month, shows no frosts. In fact, nothing below about 45 degrees at night for the foreseeable future into November. And around here, I'm just going to give you another view of this light pink azalea. As you can see it from the street. It's not covered with flowers, but it looks very nice. Very pretty flowers, kind of a two-toned look. And doing really well. And then in here we've got our knockout roses, pretty much dormant at this point. Most things are dormant. Here in the front yard, the rest of this last bed, more of the same, with the exception of our little salvia here, which peaked about a month or so ago. I always call it rock candy. These purple stalks, doing very well still. They're finishing up, but there's still some nice color here. And then we got vinca and zinnias doing well over here. Some of these, it's almost spherical ones, much smaller at this time of year. You're not seeing a lot of bigger flowers, but a lot of different color. These are doing much better than the ones in the front yard or in the front bed. More vinca here, nice yellow zinnia here, and then we've got our knockout roses, coral, pink, red, and some more zinnias over in here, red and orange, bright red here, absolutely beautiful, pink, and behind here, let's see, we've got basically nothing else on this side. It's all pretty much finished up. We had a lot of lilies, both daylilies, Asiatic lilies, and some climbing roses, but everything's pretty much finished up here in mid-October. We even had a little morning glory, a little tiny one growing on top of this knockout rose, but it's done. Nothing but seed pods here. And that's pretty much it. So again, despite the late season and the hurricane and hot weather, our garden is doing very well. And we've got, I didn't even mention this, our hydrangea, which is still hanging on to a little bit of its color. It's very dull red. It hasn't turned to brown yet. Better than nothing, but it probably, the remaining color probably won't last for long. And that should pretty much finish things up. So until next week, we'll say happy gardening. We'll keep doing these as long as the flowers are out, and hopefully that'll be another week. It just really depends on the weather. There's another dahlia here doing really well. Nice bright red. Kind of on the underside, it doesn't look too good, but we've got still some more buds, so we still should get some more color out of these. And that'll do it. So hope it's sunny wherever you are. We're going to do our backyard garden here in just a moment. And until next time, happy gardening.